Hello, and welcome to today's movie review of Aquaman. This film is set within the DC Extended Universe following the adventures of Aquaman. Events in Justice League were mentioned by Amber Heard's character Mera, specifically the defeat of Step. While this movie places itself in the DC EU, as it has been commonly referred to, it is not the low of lows like the Batman v Superman or Justice. It also does not reach the high point that is Wonder Woman. The film has elements of Indiana Jones in it. It has this underwater vibe and feel that I didn't expect them to be able to pull off, but the CGI throughout the underwater sequences, while not always flawless, was amazingly beautiful. The hair effects, the water effects, it was a blast to watch. Now that's not saying that the CGI was perfect throughout the film. No, there was at least one point within the film that I was able to look at it and said, bad CGI is bad. I was thrown off by the de-aging tech that was used for Tamara Morrison. He looked odd to me, and maybe it was just the hairstyle that they chose for him, but it did feel a little bit odd. Speaking of odd character looks, Amber Heard's red wig did not always look. There were parts where it didn't look real, and it truly did come off like a wig, but then there were other parts where it looked amazing, and it looked best when it was all CGI, when it was underwater and flowing and moving, which I think alone, if it was not for films like Justice League, this film would probably have a great chance at Academy Award for Best Special Effects. Speaking of Academy Awards, another DCEU film is an actual Academy Award winner. Suicide Squad won Best Costuming. And speaking of costuming for this film, I was surprised. I was totally surprised at how far they went into the comic book spectrum. Black Manta had the big bulbous eyes. Orm had that Ocean Master face with like the gills on the side. Amber Heard in that green one piece, essentially a swimmer's unitard, and they did the orange and green comic book Aquaman look that somehow Jason Momoa was able to pull off, and I have no idea how he was able to do that. The actors did what they could with what they were given, and it was a fun ride with some scenes reminiscent of Indiana Jones and with others reminiscent of more of that deep sea monster feel. It was not a perfect film, and I enjoyed myself even throughout the films. If we're going to rank them with the other DC films, I would probably rank it third. I would probably say third behind Wonder Woman and Man of Steel as my favorite. You know what? There's only 6, so yeah, right in the middle. Right in the middle. Wonder Woman is definitely my top, and then depending on the day, I jump between Suicide Squad and Man of Steel. Both films I enjoy, even though with Suicide Squad I can see the flaws in it. And I would put Aquaman somewhere within the enjoyment level of Suicide Squad and Man of Steel for me. There isn't any overt sexuality. It isn't shot in a way to accentuate the female performers in that way, even though you can tell that they are attractive women. Both Amber Heard and Nicole Kidman. They show just how attractive they are without being used in that kind of manner. Jason Momoa isn't always portrayed as a badass. While physically imposing, there are moments where he comes off as kind of a goon. He exudes, I don't want to say that he is like I don't want to call him Surfer Aquaman, but there are times where he kind of portrays those stereotypes, and then some of the things that he does physically kind of portray that as well. There was one or two pieces of language that I wouldn't, but nothing that I wouldn't stop my daughter from seeing. There was a little bit of blood, but nothing that was grotesque or in abundance. There were some scary sequences that I think younger audiences would shy away from, even though the creature design in that sequence was breathtaking. It's just the way that it was shot. It was accentuated by James Wan originally being a horror director. Other than really that one horror sequence, there is no reason that not the youngest children, but children, preteens, teenagers, and adults wouldn't enjoy this film. If you're a fan of Aquaman, you will, I think, enjoy this film. I have read the comic issues that this story is based off of from the New 52, and they did a pretty close job. I could see things coming in the story that I think is telegraphed a mile away, but that could just be from my experience with these kinds of films. If you've seen the DC films from Man of Steel to now, I believe that this is a film you should go and enjoy and have fun with. And make sure to temper those expectations, and you don't want your bar being way up here and then being placed down here and being disappointed. Just make sure you know that you're going to have some silly lines, some other poor CGI effects, and moments that are shot that physically made me sick, and that's just close up and spinny, and it almost made me seasick. But I enjoyed it, I had fun, and I recommend that you do as well. Now, if you've seen Aquaman, go ahead and leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought. Stay away from the spoilers like we're trying to do today. And until next time, have a great night.